What's the very first thing you do when you wake up? If you're like most folks, you probably reach for a glass of water. It sounds like a great way to kickstart your body, rev up your metabolism, and get your day off to a good start, right? But what if I told you that this seemingly innocent habit could actually be doing harm to your health? Water, plain and simple, is essential for life. Our bodies need it to function properly. But just like anything else, too much water, or drinking at the wrong time, can lead to some issues. And as we get older, our bodies tend to become more sensitive. And some habits that weren't a problem when we were younger can cause negative effects as the years go by. When we first wake up, our bodies are in a delicate balance. Our hormones are shifting, our blood pressure is adjusting, and our electrolyte levels might be low. In this state, suddenly flooding our system with water and doing it the wrong way can trigger some unfavorable reactions. These effects might not be immediately obvious, but over time, they can lead to everything from feeling queasy to long-term stress on our organs. While most people sing the praises of drinking water in the morning, you hardly ever hear about the potential dangers when it's done without thinking. This is especially true for older adults, whose systems tend to be more sensitive and more reactive. Your kidneys, your digestive system, your heart, they all depend on timing, balance, and context. When you wake up, your body's in a really sensitive state. Hormones are moving around. Blood pressure is trying to regulate. Electrolyte levels might be down. If you overload your system the wrong way or with the wrong tools, you might not feel it right away. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. Some people feel bloated. Others notice their heart skipping a beat or breaking out in a cold sweat. And some just feel plain strange and can't put their finger on why. It's easy to miss a connection. But once you understand how it works, it starts to make a whole lot of sense. In this article, we're going to break down 5 common mistakes that can make drinking water first thing in the morning more harmful than helpful. Each one represents a quiet danger that a lot of people overlook. And the last one, well, it might just change the way you think about your entire morning routine. If you care about keeping your digestion calm, your heart steady, and your mind clear, then stick with us. This could very well be one of the most surprising and important things you learn all week. So let's get started. 1. Chugging down ice-cold water. When you first wake up and your stomach's totally empty, gulping down a glass of ice-cold water might seem refreshing. Maybe even give you a bit of a jolt to wake you up. But it's actually a shock to your system that it really doesn't need, especially first thing in the AM. Overnight, your internal organs settle into a nice, gentle rhythm. Your blood vessels get slightly constricted, and your digestive tract is pretty much asleep. Suddenly sending freezing cold water down that quiet pipeline is like slamming on the brakes when your car's engine is still warming up. It throws off your digestion, tightens up your stomach muscles, and narrows your blood vessels just when they're trying to open up and help your body ease into the day. The problem isn't the water itself, it's the temperature. Cold water forces your body to spend extra energy just to bring your core temperature back up to where it needs to be. For younger folks, that might not seem like a huge deal, but for older adults with slower metabolisms, it can mean unnecessary stress on their cardiovascular system. You might feel a sudden headache pop up, a quick wave of dizziness, or a chill in your chest that just seems to hang around. These aren't signs of being refreshed. They're signs that your body is bracing itself against something it wasn't expecting. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a 76-year-old who started every single morning by gulping down a tall glass of ice water straight from a fridge. She liked how it cleared her throat and made her feel alert, but she also started noticing something else. Her stomach would cramp up, her fingers would feel icy cold, and her digestion throughout the morning felt sluggish. After mentioning it to her doctor, she was encouraged to switch to room temperature water for a few weeks. The change was immediate. Her stomach settled down, her hands stopped trembling, and her mornings became calmer, more comfortable, and way less reactive. We often think that feeling a little under the weather is just part of getting older, but a lot of these little aches and jolts come from habits that just don't match what our bodies need anymore. Cold water might have felt energizing when you were 25, but at 75, it could be doing more harm than good. So, if you've been starting your mornings with something that feels like a jolt to your system, take a step back. Let your body wake up gently. Choose water that's closer to your body's temperature. Give your organs the respect they deserve. After all, they've carried you this far. They've earned it. 2. Guzzling water too fast or in big gulps. There's something satisfying about taking a big swig, especially when you're feeling really thirsty. But drinking water too quickly, especially in those first few minutes after you wake up, can throw your whole system out of whack. When your body's still transitioning from sleep mode to being fully awake, every system is a little more sensitive. Your stomach lining isn't quite ready. Your heart rate is still adjusting, and your blood pressure is recalibrating. Chugging down a full glass of water in one go, even if it's room temperature, can trigger bloating, dizziness, and in some cases, even nausea or a lightheaded feeling that seems to come out of nowhere. You see, when you drink too fast, your body doesn't have enough time to process that sudden intake of fluids. Your kidneys might jump into overdrive, your electrolyte balance can shift, and your stomach expands all at once. That can lead to discomfort, gas, or even trigger acid reflux in people who are prone to it. Seniors especially need to be mindful of this, because fluid regulation becomes more delicate as we age. What might seem like an efficient way to get your hydration over with can actually set off a chain reaction that leaves you feeling worse. Not better. Let's talk about Walter, a 72-year-old retired coach who treated hydration like it was part of his training regimen. He had a morning routine he never skipped. Wake up, do a few stretches, and finish a whole bottle of water before his feet even hit the floor. But over time, he started noticing he'd feel strangely dizzy some mornings. He couldn't figure it out. He wasn't skipping meals. He wasn't dehydrated. But when he explained his routine to his doctor, they realized what the problem was. He was flooding his body before it had a chance to stabilize. With a small change, just sipping his water slowly over 15-20 minutes, his symptoms disappeared. There's a natural rhythm to hydration, and honoring that rhythm, especially first thing in the morning, can make all the difference. Sipping slowly helps your body absorb the water more efficiently. It reduces the strain on your kidneys, and it prevents that sudden drop in electrolyte concentration that can make you feel weak or jittery. So instead of rushing through your morning glass, treat it like a little ritual. Sit up, take a few breaths, sip gently, and let your body receive the water instead of reacting to it. Those few extra minutes can save you a whole day of discomfort. 3. Drinking from plastic bottles left out overnight. Sometimes the danger isn't in the water itself, but in what it's stored in. A lot of folks leave a plastic water bottle by their bedside at night, thinking it's just a convenient way to stay hydrated in the morning. But if that bottle sits out for too long, especially in warm rooms or under direct sunlight, it can start to leach chemicals into the water you're planning to drink. One of the main concerns is a compound called BPA, which is often found in older or lower quality plastics. Even bottles labeled BPA-free aren't always completely safe, because other substitute chemicals can act in similar ways. Once heat and time get involved, here's why that matters. These chemicals are called endocrine disruptors. That means they can mimic hormones in your body and mess with how your glands function. For seniors who are already managing things like blood sugar, blood pressure, or thyroid issues, this added interference, even in small amounts, can throw things out of balance. The symptoms might not show up right away, but over weeks or months, you might start noticing more fatigue, mood swings, or changes in your digestion without even realizing that your innocent bedside habit could be part of the cause. Let me tell you about Stanley, a 78-year-old who prided himself on drinking plenty of water every morning. He always kept a store-bought plastic bottle by his bed, refilled it from the tap, and reused it for weeks without a second thought. It often sat next to a warm lamp, sometimes even in direct sunlight. Over time, he started experiencing headaches and bloating that didn't seem to be related to his diet or medications. After doing some reading and talking to his nutritionist, he made the switch to glass and stainless steel containers and stopped leaving bottles out overnight. Within weeks, his symptoms eased up, and for the first time in months, his energy levels stabilized. It's tempting to ignore small exposures like these, especially when they seem harmless. But for aging bodies, every little bit of added chemical load makes a difference. Your liver has to work harder, your hormones have to fight for balance, and your system becomes more vulnerable to outside influences. If you've been reusing plastic bottles or keeping water by your bed in soft plastic containers, it might be time to reconsider. Opt for glass. Go for stainless steel, or at the very least, fill a clean container in the morning instead of relying on one that's been sitting out all night. It's a simple switch, but sometimes the simplest changes bring the biggest peace of mind. For downing water on a very full or very empty stomach after certain meds. Mornings can be a delicate time, especially when your body's trying to find its rhythm again after a night of fasting. And for many older adults, mornings also mean taking medications. Blood pressure pills, thyroid tablets, pain relievers. These tiny capsules carry a lot of responsibility. But here's something most people don't realize. The way you take those medications, especially in relation to water and food, can change everything. Drinking plain water on a very empty stomach right after taking certain medications can lead to nausea, stomach discomfort, and in some cases, reduce how effective the medication actually is. Some pills are designed to be taken with food, others need to be taken on an empty stomach, but not followed by a large amount of water. And still others react poorly with acidity levels that are either heightened or lowered by what and how you drink. Your digestive system isn't just a passive pipe. It's a sensitive balance of enzymes, fluids, and timing. Flooding it with water, especially if your stomach is empty or if you're coming off a large meal, can interfere with absorption. That means you might not be getting the full benefit of your medication, or worse, it might irritate your stomach lining without you even knowing why. Let's look at Margaret, an 80-year-old who started experiencing morning nausea that didn't seem to be tied to anything she ate. Her blood work was fine. Her meals were consistent. But every morning, about 30 minutes after taking her thyroid medication with a big glass of water, she felt queasy and unsettled. Her doctor discovered that not only was she drinking too much too fast on an empty stomach, but she was also failing to give her stomach time to adjust before eating. By changing to a smaller sip of water with her pill, and then waiting about 45 minutes before having breakfast, the nausea disappeared completely. And even better, her next blood test showed her medication was working more efficiently. It's easy to overlook how sensitive your stomach is first thing in the morning, especially when you've been taking the same medication for years. But our bodies change, our responses shift, and when we start our day by listening instead of just assuming, we give ourselves a chance to adjust before problems take root. So, if you've been waking up feeling queasy, or if your meds don't seem to be working as well as they used to, take a closer look at what you're drinking, when you're drinking it, and how much. It might be a simple fix with a big impact. 5. Skipping breakfast and replacing it with water alone. It sounds healthy and disciplined, right? Some folks wake up, drink a big glass of water, and decide to skip breakfast altogether, thinking they're doing their body a favor. But especially for seniors, this habit can quietly drain your energy, lower your blood sugar, and start your day with a deficit that's hard to catch up on. Water is absolutely essential, but water alone, without some food to stabilize your system, can leave you feeling sluggish, irritable, and mentally foggy, sometimes without you even realizing the connection. When you wake up, your body is in a fasting state. Your glucose levels are low, your brain needs fuel, and your muscles are waiting for nutrients. Drinking water does help jumpstart your circulation and rehydrate your cells. Yes, but it doesn't provide the carbohydrates or protein your brain and body need to operate properly. And if you follow that water with a cup of coffee, the effects can intensify. Suddenly, you've stimulated your system without grounding it. You might feel jittery, anxious, or just emotionally flat by mid-morning. And it becomes easy to mistake those symptoms of just getting older, stress, or not sleeping well, when they're really just nutritional signals. That let's talk about Alice, a 69-year-old who tried to simplify her mornings. She'd read that water boosts metabolism and that intermittent fasting was all the rage, so she stopped eating breakfast and just drank water until noon. At first, she lost a little weight, but then the fatigue set in. Her mood took a nosedive. She became more forgetful, and her daughter noticed she was repeating herself in conversations. A visit to her doctor didn't reveal any major medical issue, just a lack of steady glucose intake in the morning. Once she added a small, protein-rich breakfast back into her routine, things like eggs and fruit or oatmeal with nuts, her energy returned, her focus sharpened, and she started feeling like herself again. Skipping breakfast might sound harmless, even admirable, but for an aging body, especially one that's already managing medication or hormone changes, it's risky. Think of food in the morning like kindling for a fire. Without it, the flame just flickers. With it, you burn steady and strong. Water plays its role, but it can't do the job all by itself. So, if you've been starting your day with only water, thinking less is more, this might be the adjustment that changes everything. Give your body both hydration and nourishment. That's how you truly wake up inside and out. Morning routines can be incredibly powerful. They set the stage for your entire day, your energy levels, your ability to focus. And while drinking water first thing in the morning gets a lot of praise, and rightfully so, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. The truth is, water is only truly helpful when it's handled with care. When we rush, overdo it, or ignore how our bodies are responding, something meant to help can quietly end up causing harm, especially as we get older. Our systems become more sensitive. What used to feel refreshing might now feel jarring. What once seemed harmless might now need a second thought. But this isn't about fear, it's about awareness. It's about learning how to support the body you have today, not the one you had 20 years ago. Maybe that means sipping instead of chugging. Maybe it means warming your water just a little, or eating a small bite before you hydrate. Maybe it means finally tossing that plastic bottle you reuse one too many times. These aren't dramatic changes. They're thoughtful ones. And often, it's those thoughtful changes that protect our comfort, our clarity, and our confidence as we move through the years. You've taken the time to understand how small things can make a big difference. That says a lot about the kind of person you are. Someone who pays attention. Someone who cares. Someone who's still learning, still growing, still investing in their well-being. That mindset alone adds strength to your days. So don't stop here. Take one of these lessons and try it out tomorrow morning. See how your body responds when it's treated not just with routine, but with respect. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I'd really love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to me, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments really keeps me motivated and encouraged. If you enjoyed this article and found it helpful, please give a thumbs up. Your support helps me continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for reading, and I'm looking forward to our next chat.